blending of Greek and Eastern religious practices, often referred to as religious syncretism, represents a fascinating chapter in the history of ancient religions and cultural exchange. This process was significantly shaped by Alexander the Great's conquests in the 4th century BCE and the subsequent Hellenistic period, during which Greek culture, philosophy, and religious traditions spread across vast regions of the Eastern Mediterranean, the Middle East, and Central Asia. This essay explores the origins, development, and implications of this syncretism, focusing on key examples that demonstrate the interplay between Greek and Eastern religious traditions. Origins of religious syncretism. Religious syncretism between Greek and Eastern traditions began as a byproduct of the Greek conquests and colonization efforts. Alexander the Great's campaigns brought Greek settlers, merchants, and administrators into contact with the diverse cultures of the Persian Empire, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and beyond. These interactions facilitated the exchange of ideas, art, language, and religious practices. The political landscape of the Hellenistic kingdoms, established after Alexander's death, further encouraged cultural integration. Rulers such as the Ptolemies in Egypt and the Seleucids in Mesopotamia actively promoted the fusion of Greek and local traditions to legitimize their authority and unify their multicultural domains. Temples, festivals, and rituals reflected this blending, creating hybrid forms of worship that appealed to both Greek and local populations. Egyptian-Greek syncretism. The case of Serapis. One of the most prominent examples of religious syncretism is the cult of Serapis, a deity created during the Ptolemaic period in Egypt. The Ptolemies sought to unify the Greek and Egyptian populations by introducing a god that combined elements of both traditions. Serapis was modeled after Osiris and Apis, key figures in Egyptian religion, but was also imbued with characteristics of Greek gods such as Zeus and Hades. The cult of Serapis gained widespread popularity, not only in Egypt but throughout the Hellenistic world. His worship included Greek-style temples and rituals, which made him accessible to Greek settlers, while his associations with Egyptian deities resonated with the native population. The image of Serapis as a bearded, Hellenized deity holding a scepter and wearing a modius, a grain measure, on his head, symbolized abundance and fertility, appealing to worshippers from various backgrounds. The influence of Zoroastrianism. In the regions of Mesopotamia and Persia, Greek settlers encountered Zoroastrianism, the dominant religion of the Achaemenid Empire. Zoroastrian dualistic concepts of good and evil, as well as its emphasis on cosmic order, Asha, had a profound influence on Greek philosophical and religious thought. One area of significant syncretism was the integration of Zoroastrian ideas into Greek mystery religions, particularly the cult of Mithras. While Mithras originated as a Persian deity associated with light and justice, his cult was reimagined in the Roman world as a mystery religion with strong Greek influences. The Mithraic rituals, which included initiatory rites and the symbolic reenactment of Mithras slaying the bull, blended Zoroastrian cosmology with Greek and Roman elements, creating a uniquely syncretic form of worship. Mesopotamian Greek religious fusion. In Mesopotamia, the Seleucid rulers fostered the blending of Greek and Babylonian religious traditions. Greek deities, such as Zeus, were equated with Babylonian gods like Marduk, and temples often housed cult statues representing both pantheons. The practice of astrology, which was highly developed in Mesopotamia, also influenced Greek thought. Greek philosophers and scholars, including those in Alexandria, incorporated Mesopotamian celestial knowledge into their own frameworks, leading to the development of Hellenistic astrology. This exchange of ideas extended to religious texts and practices. The Chaldean oracles, a set of mystical writings attributed to Babylonian magi, but heavily influenced by Greek philosophy, exemplify the intellectual and spiritual synthesis of the period. These texts combined Platonic metaphysics with Eastern esoteric traditions, shaping the development of later Neoplatonism and Gnostic thought. Indian-Greek interactions. The conquests of Alexander the Great extended as far as the Indian subcontinent, bringing Greeks into contact with Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. The establishment of the Indo-Greek kingdoms in the region facilitated ongoing cultural and religious exchanges. Greek influence on Indian art and architecture is well documented, particularly in the development of Gandhara art, which blends Hellenistic and Indian styles. Religious syncretism is also evident in the adoption of Greek gods into Indian contexts. For instance, Heracles was identified with the Hindu deity Krishna in some regions, while Dionysus was associated with Shiva. Conversely, Indian religious ideas influenced Greek thought. The philosophical concepts of karma and reincarnation found resonance among Greek philosophers, particularly the Pythagoreans and later Platonists. Buddhism, in particular, played a significant role in this syncretic process. The Indo-Greek king Menander I, known as Milinda in Buddhist texts, is said to have converted to Buddhism, as recorded in the Milinda Panha, Questions of King Milinda. This dialogue between Menander and the Buddhist sage Nagasena reflects the merging of Greek philosophical inquiry with Buddhist teachings. Jewish-Greek syncretism. The Jewish communities of the Hellenistic world, particularly in Alexandria, also participated in the blending of Greek and Eastern religious traditions. The translation of Hebrew scriptures into Greek, known as the Septuagint, represents a significant moment of cultural exchange. This translation not only made Jewish religious texts accessible to Greek-speaking audiences, but also introduced Greek philosophical concepts into Jewish theology. Philo of Alexandria, a Hellenistic Jewish philosopher, exemplifies this synthesis. Philo interpreted Jewish scripture through the lens of Greek philosophy, particularly Platonism and Stoicism. His writings influenced early Christian thought, demonstrating the lasting impact of Jewish-Greek syncretism. The spread of mystery religions. The Hellenistic period witnessed the proliferation of mystery religions, many of which incorporated elements from both Greek and Eastern traditions. These religions, including the cults of Isis, Mithras, and Cybele, offered initiates a sense of personal connection with the divine and the promise of salvation. The cult of Isis, originally an Egyptian goddess, was reinterpreted in the Hellenistic and Roman worlds as a universal deity. Her worship included Greek-style rituals and temples, while retaining her associations with fertility, motherhood, and magic. The spread of Isis worship throughout the Mediterranean underscores the appeal of syncretic religious practices in addressing the spiritual needs of diverse populations. Philosophical and theological implications. The blending of Greek and Eastern religious practices had profound philosophical and theological implications. It challenged traditional notions of divinity, morality, and cosmology, leading to the development of new religious movements and philosophical schools. The fusion of Greek rationalism with Eastern mysticism, for example, contributed to the rise of Neoplatonism, which sought to reconcile Platonic philosophy with religious experience. This syncretism also influenced early Christianity, as evidenced by the incorporation of Greek philosophical concepts into Christian theology. The writings of church fathers such as Clement of Alexandria and Origen reflect the interplay between Hellenistic and Judeo-Christian traditions. The blending of Greek and Eastern religious practices during the Hellenistic period represents a dynamic and transformative era in the history of religion. Through the integration of diverse traditions, new forms of worship, art, and philosophy emerged, enriching the spiritual and intellectual life of the ancient world. This syncretism not only shaped the religious landscape of antiquity, but also laid the foundation for the development of later religious and philosophical movements. The legacy of this cultural exchange continues to resonate in the modern understanding of religion as a dynamic and interconnected phenomenon.